Okay guys, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of on a bit of a time crunch. I'm trying to get this review out as quickly as I can because I have to go see Transformers right after this. And of course, it's been like 2 months since this movie came out, and I'm just not talking about it. Yeah, I'm very late to the party with this one. So John Wick Chapter 4 is, well, of course, the fourth chapter in the John Wick franchise, and possibly the last one from what I've heard. It's kind of crazy to think that this whole thing started because some asshat stole his car and killed his dog. My, look how far we've come. But in this movie, it's been a few months since the events of John Wick Chapter 3, and John Wick is on the run. Now being hunted by the High Table and stalked by old friends turned enemies, John must find a way to earn his freedom, but the price of his freedom may be too steep to pay. Let me just start off by saying, from what I remember, John Wick Chapter 4 was a badass fun time. I'm pretty sure that if Keanu Reeves could play this character for the rest of his life, he would. He seems to enjoy it a lot, and it shows. John Wick movies as a whole have gotten even more insane and crazy as they've gone on. It's almost kind of like Keanu and everyone involved had a meeting and were pretty much like, okay guys, how can we outdo all the crazy shit that we did in the last movie? A 15-minute gun battle in a Japanese art gallery where I take a katana and block bullets with it like I'm fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi? Yeah, I can do that. Dude, the action set pieces in this movie are crazy. They're all memorable in their own right, and they don't ever cease to be entertaining. And the camera work and cinematography just adds to the flair when these fights are taking place. A lot of really long tracking shots that just manage to capture every single kill and keeps you completely engaged. And watching John Wick mow down wave after wave of faceless jabronis is still the very big selling point of this movie. There is a story and a reason for everything that's happening, but let's face it, most people go to see John Wick movies to watch Keanu Reeves kick ass and take names. Nothing wrong with that, that's just the nature of the beast, even though it does get a little crazy at times. I also appreciated that this movie really expanded on the world a bit. The High Table have always been the guys in the shadows that are super secretive, but in John Wick Chapter 4, we really get to see a world beyond them. An underground network of assassins that span around the entire world. I thought that was really cool. It just makes the scope of this universe feel that much bigger. I've heard there's a bunch of spin-offs in the works, so who knows? Maybe we'll get to see more of these groups down the line. Bill Skarsgård is the villain of this movie, and honestly, I don't know if I consider him one of the better villains of this franchise. His motivation for going after John Wick is ultimately just, he wants to kill him because it'll gain him some kind of status. Other than that, nothing else is really there to make his character that interesting. He's just that generic asshole villain that spews generic asshole dialogue. Now moving away from Bill Skarsgård, I need to get to Donnie Yen. This movie, once and for all, proves why Donnie Yen is the fucking man. I've always loved this guy as an actor and a martial artist, and of course in this movie, he's playing a blind badass. Why? Because Donnie Yen is just great at playing a blind badass. I thought he was a really good foil and just a really good opposing force for John Wick. This movie tells you that these guys have history, and you can see it in Kane's eyes that he doesn't want to kill John. I love conflicted characters like that. Donnie Yen was just awesome. There's also a character played by Shamar Anderson who's also hunting John. He's cool mainly just because he has a dog that helps him out. I mean, we all know about John Wick and dogs. I really don't need to remind anybody. I will say though, the dog gave everybody in my screening probably one of the biggest laughs ever. It was really funny. If you watch the first John Wick and then jump ahead to this one, it is pretty crazy how grounded the original is by comparison. This movie is just 110 miles per hour nonstop action. Like I mentioned earlier, some of the fights in this movie last like 15 minutes. It's absolutely crazy. By the time some of these fights are over, you feel like you just ran a marathon and you need a break. I do love the fights in this movie, but man, even after a while, I just felt really exhausted. I was just like, holy shit, guys, there's a lot of movie going on in this movie. Can we slow down for a bit? Like, I need to catch my breath. Not to mention, there came a point where my suspension of disbelief was completely eradicated. Now, I know it's a fictional world and the laws of physics and gravity might not apply the same way that they do in the real world, but some of the feats and the things that these characters are able to pull off in this movie linger on the verge of being superhuman to just almost impossible. To the point that when you're watching, you're like, yeah, that's kind of stupid. Now, I'm not going to let those be the defining factors that determine my rating, but in terms of gripes, that's really the top one. Now, that being said, guys, I still enjoyed the fuck out of John Wick Chapter 4. If this was the last one that they made, I wouldn't be mad at all. The way they kind of close out this movie, to me, this seems like a pretty good place to end the John Wick story. Keanu was great, Donnie Yen stole the damn show. Bill Skarsgård is still a little underwhelming, but still served a purpose. This movie is just the epitome of what a fun popcorn action flick looks like. And since I have all the other John Wick movies in my collection, I'll say John Wick Chapter 4 is definitely worthy of being in my collection. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. Drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe if you're new. And thank you guys so much for joining me on my review for John Wick Chapter 4. I know it's been 2 months since this movie came out, but, you know, now that I got this done, I am officially caught up with everything, for the most part. Well, I gotta review The Boogeyman too, because I saw The Boogeyman. I gotta review that next. But I won't keep you guys here much longer. Thank you guys so much for watching. Drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. And as always, I'm the Unbiased Movie Nerd. I'm saying peace, and I'll see you guys in the next review. Peace out, everybody.